Hello folks, this is Sullla speaking, and you're listening to another commentary for League of Legends. In this game, we're going to be looking at Zoe, who is one of the most recent champs introduced into League of Legends. I know she's been out for a couple months now. I think she was introduced sometime around the summer or something like that. But she is still one of the newest champions in League. I think she's like the third newest champion, something like that. And this is actually a viewer game supplied by Mythradorri, who emailed this replay to me. So we're going to be following him around and getting a chance to talk a little bit about some of the Zoe gameplay. This is something that I'm happy to be able to say I can do again, so if you have replays and you'd like me to take a look at them, particularly for newer champions that have been introduced in the last, say, 2 years or so, or champions that I haven't featured on this channel, you can feel free to send me the ROFL replay files, and yes, I can load them up, and it's a little tricky to do, but there is a workaround that allows you to do it, and I can open them up and cast them. So as I said, we're going to be looking at Zoe in this game. Zoe is an AP caster, kind of a traditional magic damage champion. She's most frequently played in mid lane. I think she's been played rarely as a support, and she kind of could fit in that role, but she's probably best played as a mid laner, dealing magic damage, casting spells, you know the drill. Zoe has kind of two things going for her. Number one, she has good mobility. Her ultimate allows her to kind of pop in and out it's on a very short cooldown, excuse me. Allows her to kind of pop in and out of these holes in the air, these portals. So she has good mobility off of that ultimate. And she also has good poke damage, which is based mostly off of her Q. So she has kind of an unusual long-range poke ability, and she has good mobility. And she's kind of unusual. She doesn't quite play like any other champions directly. Weaknesses would be she is, as you would expect for a little girl with a jump rope, she is quite squishy, and she is very easily killed if she would actually be crowd controlled and set upon by the enemy team. So similar to a lot of casters, you need to try to keep your distance and only go in for quick trades when your ultimate's up at close range. So let's go ahead and run through some of her skills. Oh, before we do that, I should just go through the laning matchups. Up in top lane, we have on blue team Darius against our red team Yasuo. In the jungles, we have a jungle Diana for blue team against a jungle Zac on red team. And then in bottom lane, it is a Jhin Zyra matchup on one side against a Lucian Lux bottom lane on red side. And that's the bottom lane I just cast in one of my own games, most recently on this channel. Anyway, back to mid lane. So let's go through Zoe's abilities. We've got a relatively quiet laning phase here so far against LeBlanc. And I also should mention Mythradorri, perfect CS on the first two waves. Got all 12 of the minions. I won't be able to keep that up forever, but hey, gotta call that out while it lasts. Okay, so first of all, Zoe's passive. This is a pretty basic passive, more sparkles. After Zoe casts a spell, next basic attack deals bonus magic damage. Synergizes well with a Sheen, which is something that we're going to see Mythradorri getting later on in this game, but just keep that in mind. You cast a spell, your next auto attack deals more damage, and there it is right there. I'm not sure if there's a graphical indication of this, but it is taking place. There's probably something and I'm just missing it. Alright, so the most important ability, the one that you will see Zoe using the most, is her Q. And this one is called Paddle Star. This is a skill shot, fires a missile, deals more damage the further it travels. You can shoot it in a straight line if you want, but you won't see Zoe players doing that very often. What happens is you can fire it in any straight direction, and then you can redirect it in a different direction after it flies out, and send it in a different direction entirely. So you can use it to bend this skill shot like around minion lines. You can use it to, quite frequently you'll see Zoe players toss it behind them and then redirect it in front of them. So like that, well, that's a different ability. It just looks like her Q. There it is, right there. So right there you see Mythradorri, he tosses the Q, the paddle star behind him, and then redirects it to go in front of him again. And it deals more distance based on how far it travels. You can see if it travels the max distance, it actually does a ton of damage, 230 plus 38 at only 2 points in the skill. That is a lot of damage. But of course, the further it travels, the harder it is to hit this because it is a skill shot. And it is an aimed ability. So right there it is again, and you see Mythradorri using it to pick up that cannon creep. So I found this, I've only played Zoe one time. I actually do not own Zoe, but she was free to play, and I played her in a co-op versus AI game. I was extremely confused, and this whole skill shot did not agree with me. So props to anyone who can in fact kind of wrap their head around using the paddle star and get in some practice on using it. Anyway, so that's her Q skill, and the one you see her using the most. I also want to highlight her E, her Sleepy Trouble Bubble. This is her crowd control. This is a straight line skill shot. Right there, you see it hit LeBlanc. It is a straight line skill shot. Can't talk. A straight line skill shot. Drop kicks a bubble, it deals magic damage, and then if it misses, it lingers like a trap if it hits nothing. After a delay, the victim falls asleep for 2 seconds. So it's kind of like a stun, except that if you attack the person who's put to sleep, it will break the sleep, but then deals double damage. Does it say and right there you see the bubble misses, and then it sticks around on the ground. I'm highlighting LeBlanc right now. Alright, so right here, we're going to see the LeBlanc clone come out. So this is significant. LeBlanc does not have her clone. So watch what's going to happen next in this sequence. Zoe has hit 6, and I'm going to slow it down here. So going to ignite, and then move forward, and then going to flash in, and actually, well, I was going to say misses the trouble bubble, but it actually does hit at the end, although LeBlanc was already going to die from the ignite. So nicely done there by Mythradorri, playing aggressively, using that flash to go forward. I'll talk more about why Zoe can be pretty free with her summoner spells in a minute. But yeah, uses the summoner, gets the kill, and in fact scores first blood in this game, so kudos. Now, right now, Mythradorri's being greedy. He is trying to shove in another wave into the tower, which is the right thing to do. It's just risky because if I go to his team's vision, they don't have any wards on either side of the lane. But fortunately, Zach was up here in top lane, and Mythradorri is not punished for his greed in shoving this minion wave into the tower. Again, it is the right thing to do. It is the right play, but, you know, no vision. It's a little dangerous to do that is the only thing. And his team also scored another kill up in top lane with Diana getting it. Alright, so we went through kind of the two main abilities that you see Zoe using, her Q and her E. Those are kind of her two skills that you'll probably see her using the most often. Her W is a really interesting skill, and you might see, wait a minute, she has Exhaust as her W right now. What's going on there? Isn't that a summoner spell? Well, that's true. And what happens is when Zoe... Oh, there you go. There you see it. Zoe's W is called Spell Thief. Every time a summoner spell or an active item is cast, it drops a spell shard that lasts for 40 seconds. And Zoe can collect that to pick up a random summoner spell. So you will see her picking up kind of like these random summoners as different champions use their summoner skills. They leave behind these little crystals on the map. And then Zoe can pick them up, and she gets a random summoner spell out of it. So she can actually have like double flash, or she can use her ignite and then pick up another ignite, or you saw right there, picked up an exhaust. Anyway, there's the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. So that's gonna get the Sleepy proc. I don't know quite what to call this crowd control. The Sleepy proc on LeBlanc. And there, in fact, is another one of those. So see how that minion is holding a little crystal there? If that minion dies, you will see a summoner spell crystal pop out. So there's Ignite, and now Mythradorri can pick that up. And now he has, if I highlight him, now he has Ignite on his W. So yeah, he gets another free Ignite. There is also a passive function of this, which I wasn't able to highlight before Mythradorri picked this up. But every time Zoe casts a summoner spell, she gets bonus movement speed for 2 seconds, and she also gets extra magic damage. She gets these three little orbs that dance around her and cause her to deal bonus magic damage. Now, she's going to get engaged on right here by Zac and the top lane Yasuo. And let's see, is she going to be able to escape this? Yes, just barely. And I have to believe the extra movement speed from casting that Ignite helped her here. Yeah, so there's the passive. When Zoe casts a summoner spell or Spell Thief, gains 40% movement speed and tosses up to 3 missiles at her attack target, which can also proc her passive. So again, kind of synergizes well. And now LeBlanc's engaging under the tower, and even though Mythradorri is going to hit that Sleepy Trouble Bubble, it's still not enough. LeBlanc does manage to make it out on about 100 HP, so just barely enough damage to get that, but hey, kudos to the LeBlanc player for managing to pick that up. So anyway, if I can go back to... Oh, I actually can't highlight the Zoe skills while she's dead. Well, we'll come back to that in a second. Still haven't talked about her ult. We have a dragon fight here, and this is pretty consequential for this game, so let's watch this right now. So, blue team was trying to take the Infernal Drake. It was a pretty risky one to take, and you can see it does not go their way. Lux gets off a nice ultimate, LeBlanc picks up a kill, and now this Infernal Drake, which is at half health, is looked to be taken by the red team. Meanwhile, down here, though, Jin is going to open up with his ult, and he's going to fire a really nice shot that picks off Luck, and also gets the Zac player super duper low, so that Infernal still hasn't been taken yet, and now the Jin player is going to draw away LeBlanc and Lucian, who is then going to get rooted down and killed. But meanwhile, over here, we're going to see Zoe come in and actually pick off Zac and the dragon. Let's go back and watch that again real quick, just because you couldn't see Zoe coming in. Alright, so here comes Zoe, slipping up, Going to speed it up to double speed. All right, so right now I'm going to go down to half speed. You can see Zach is trying to finish this off. Actually smites early for health, and Zoe's going to pop in and steal the dragon right there. And in fact, one of the ways that Mythradorri is able to do that is using his ult, which I haven't talked about yet. So let's go ahead and do that for a second, shall we? Alright, so Zoe's ultimate, portal jump. Blink to a nearby position for 1 second, then blink back on a 10-second cooldown. He has a little cooldown reduction right now. So basically you can hop in a little portal hole and you hop a short distance away. I think it's roughly like range 600 to 700, roughly in that area. I didn't look it up before doing this video, sorry. But yeah, right there. So you can see, pops through the hole and then pops back again. Zoe can attack and she can cast spells after she blinks forward, but she can't move when she does that. So really interesting ability, obviously opens up all kinds of interesting plays. It's a little bit like, the ability it most reminds me of is kind of the Kassadin Ripwalk, except of course that, you know, you're not actually moving to the new position, you're just kind of like temporarily appearing there and then popping back to where you started. Obviously rewards creativity, rewards players who can like kind of think out of the box. You can dance around minion lines to land skill shots. You can get into areas that you wouldn't be able to get into. You can like hop over walls for Baron steals, that sort of thing. So right there, you can see Mythradorri is doing his best to hop around here, uses exhaust. One little thing that I should mention is that in one of the more recent patches, the summoner graphics now apply to the LeBlanc clone. Oh, right there, gonna flash forward and ooh, takes LeBlanc down to 20 health. Not quite enough damage. So yeah, gets LeBlanc quite low and is gonna drive LeBlanc out of lane. But yeah, not quite enough to get that kill right there. So yeah, as I was going to say, one of the things that was recently changed in a recent patch is that the LeBlanc clone also picks up any summoner spells that are cast on it. So anyway, in this game overall, blue team is basically ahead by that dragon fight that they had earlier. They are 1,500 gold ahead and up the Infernal Drake, and it's really just that Infernal Drake that made the difference right now. So right there, you see the Lux Lucian combo in action. Lux hits the binding, and then that sets Lucian up for the culling, and that lane seems to work reasonably well. Even like I casted it in the last game, and it seems to work well. Alright, so red team is going after a fight in top lane, but it turns out that Diana is here, and Diana is pretty strong, so Darius is going to pick up 1 kill, and that gank did not go as expected, got turned around in a real hurry. So let's go back to mid lane for right now, continue to keep an eye on this. Couldn't get the cannon minion, very, very sad. But I guess I should talk a little bit about how Mythradorri is skilling Zoe and a little bit about his item build here while we also have a moment to talk. So as far as picking Zoe's abilities, you want to max Q first. This is her main damage. This is how she pokes people. So Q first. Oh, and Diana's coming in for a gank here. And Darius is also coming in for a gank. So unfortunately for LeBlanc, she has to blow her flash right there. And Zoe right now has Ghost, which is kind of interesting. Could pick up another flash. Let's see if Mythradorri wants that. Yeah, picks it up. Actually, Ghosts to pick up the flash, and there are the 3 little orbs circling around Zoe that come from her W when she uses it. Alright, so in comes Zach. He wants to ignite this. Mythradorri is actually going to flash, and he's doing that to proc his passive on the W for the extra damage. So Zach's going to go in, he is going to get bursted down, and Diana just straight up just blows both of them up. Gets the easy double kill there. So really nicely played. And by the way, Diana 4-1-1, off to a great start in this match. So as I was saying, Q first, max the Paddle Star first. Interestingly, max the W second. And the reason for this is you basically get all the value you need out of the Sleepy Trouble Bubble with just 1 point. You don't get bonus, you don't get bonus sleep duration from putting more points in the skill. So you pretty much can just put 1 point in that, and then get the, get more value out of the W. Which name I can't remember because I can't highlight it, unfortunately. And so basically Q first, then W, then E. Pretty basic. Obviously skill your ult when it's available, because with more points in the skill, the cooldown comes down and you can use the portal more often. Right now blue team's just taking various turret plates. They're grabbing the plates in mid, and they're chipping away in bot as well. They've almost got this tower entirely. They're actually going to get engaged on here in bottom lane with a nice Zac engage. And a good defensive Zyra ult as well gets them out of that, so kudos to that. Well done, and it looks like LeBlanc was just harassed out of lane once again. So Mythradorri is really bullying the LeBlanc out of lane again and again. You can see is up about 30 minion kills at this point, and if you want to look at the gold total, is up about 1,000 gold, which is very significant. 5,600 to 4,600. That's a big difference in terms of gold. In terms of the item build that Mythradorri is going for, he started with the Doran's Ring, again very standard for casters in mid, And then he followed that up with going for Luden's Echo, which is one of the strongest AP items. It feels like Luden's Echo into Morellonomicon is just kind of like the default AP build that if you really don't know what you're doing on a caster, you can just build that on almost anyone and it'll work out okay. But yeah, so going for the Ludens, which will help with wave clear, which Zoe's wave clear is not great. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not like top tier or anything like that. Right there, Mythradorri is trying to curve his Q around the minion wave there. Actually does get that cannon creep with an auto attack, and then cleans up the minions with another Q. So hey, kudos to that. Nicely done. We also do have another dragon up right now. We have an Ocean Drake down there. Meanwhile, we've got a fight in mid. The LeBlanc player is going to try to escape here, and once again loses that trade. Again, is behind in the items. Well, actually, no. Actually, LeBlanc has a finished Ludens right now, so no, not behind. But we do have a fight in bottom lane. Another nice Lux play. Look at that. Hits the binding, finishes off with the laser. So Lux Lucian scores a kill there. Meanwhile, up in top lane, Diana is ganking the Yasuo player, and she's going to pick up a kill there. So we are seeing kills traded on both sides of the map right now. And Jhin opening up with his curtain call. Not going to turn into much of anything, but because everybody's left mid, Mythradorri is free to just keep shoving this lane. And yeah, picks up the cannon creep, and it looks like he's going to be able to take mid tower off this. And that is actually going to be the first tower of the game. So, well done. Getting the kill in lane for first blood, then taking the first turret, and now red team's going to get another turret up in top lane. So really well done there, and that's, as you can see how that's really snowballed their gold lead. So meanwhile, Lucian and Lux are shoving in bot lane. They actually have summoned the Rift Herald in top lane, which Diana took earlier, so that's going to get them another tower right here. And at this point, really, the Diana and the Darius players should probably just back out here because they're going to be pulling more people to the top lane. But instead, they're sticking around probably a little bit too long. They're getting engaged on by multiple members of the enemy team, and that's going to be a shutdown on Diana. And now LeBlanc is coming up here, and Darius really has nowhere to go. So yeah, just kind of an over-aggressive push. Really didn't need to go that high. And now we're going to see Zyra walk into the other two members of the team, but she's going to get one kill, and the minions are going to pick off the other kill. So it turns into a bloodbath right there, and Zyra ultimately scores a 2-for-1. But that said, the whole sequence really was not good for blue team. They were snowballing really far ahead, and then they gave away a lot of their advantage up here in top lane. One thing you always have to remember in the current patch version of the game is if you're ahead and you give up kills in really silly fashion, you are handing away the big bounties. Like, I think that the Diana player was worth like 400 or 500. I think the Diana player is worth like 900 gold or something like that. Anyway, Zoe's able to flash out of that. Uses Flash and Ignite, gets the big movement speed boost. Now has picked up Summoner Smite, which is kind of funny. This can actually be kind of useful on Zoe in a contested situation for Dragon or Bear, and Zoe picks up an extra Smite randomly, and suddenly you've got double Smite on your team. Can be kind of nice to have in some situations. Meanwhile, right now, it looks like blue team is going to go for this Ocean Drake, and this isn't really the safest Ocean Drake because the enemy team, I think they know that, yeah, see, the enemy team has full vision on them, knows that they are there, so this is not the safest play, but then again, Zac is up in top lane, so there's not ultimately that much that red team can do. Meanwhile, Zoe going to go ahead and poke forward, so that's going to get the Sleepy Trouble Bubble on Deluxe, and an auto attack is actually going to pick off the kill there. Meanwhile, Zyra hits a really nice root, and Mythradorri actually ends up getting both kills there. Largely, he was responsible for getting the first kill against the Lux player, and then Zyra pretty much created the second kill. And meanwhile, now LeBlanc going to get jumped on by Diana. Let's see, can she get away from this? And it looks like the answer to that is yes. So, LeBlanc able to escape, but not able to hold the turret, which is now getting shoved. I mean, Yasuo is pushing in top lane too, but it's not going to be enough to offset this. So we see another turret go down, and it is currently 5-0. Let's see if Yasuo can make this 5-1. Yep, 5-1. But the blue team is starting to snowball ahead pretty clearly right now. And now they're trying to catch the Zac as they rotate up to the top lane. So he is going to die. And now, while his blobs are reforming, we're actually going to see a teleport onto the Zac blob to keep Zac alive. So here comes Zac again. And it's not going to be enough, though, because Zac still dies anyway, and then Yasuo dies as well. So not really worth it. And now Lux is coming over to try and help the situation. She's going to get one kill, but then instantly dies as well. And that also was not worth it. Meanwhile, though, I believe we're going to have a 1v1 here between Zoe and Lucian, if I remember this. Maybe that's later in this video. I shouldn't tip my hand. Yeah, I did watch this before. Okay, that must be later in the video. I thought it was taking place there because it happens in that part of the jungle. Oh, no, what we have right here is we're going to have a 1v1 between Zyra and Lucian. So watch, Zyra lurking in the brush. Lucian, is he going to face check this? Yes, he is. So Zyra uses full combo, gets the knockup, but uh-oh, Zyra's used all her abilities. She doesn't have anything else, and ultimately has to flash away, and that's sad. Unfortunately for Zyra, her Ignite was just coming off cooldown. If she had Ignite up, she would have gotten that kill. So neither side ends up dying, and unfortunately for Zyra, she ends up using her flash. So ultimately, not worth it in that situation. But nice try. I like the idea of setting the trap there and waiting to see if anyone would face check. Just came up slightly too low on the damage. Meanwhile, LeBlanc is being chased up in top lane by Darius. She's going to flash away. Here comes Zoe. Lands the Q right there for a lot of damage. But LeBlanc, good mobility. She's going to be able to dash away and not quite going to get caught right there. So a nice attempt. Did blow the flash on LeBlanc, but not ultimately able to get the kill. Oh, here we go. Here's what I was talking about before. So Lucian and Zoe walk into one another. You're going to see Zoe pop out using the portals to hop away, and then a nice skill shot there at the end. Hit on 2 different paddle stars in order to get that kill. So really nicely done there as Mythradorri picks up a complete solo kill right there and then uses the portal to dash away and avoid getting hit by Lux's crowd control. And we actually had a kill in bottom lane as well as Yasuo was split pushing and gets picked up. Oh, also, watch this, watch this. So Zoe tosses out the paddle star, hops over the portal, ignites on LeBlanc, and picks up that kill. That was really, really sick. In fact, it's so nice. Let's go. I want to go back and show that again. All right, so speed up until we get to the play. Okay, so LeBlanc coming forward, going to slow it down to half speed. So toss out the paddle star behind, and now is going to portal over here, redirects the paddle star to hit LeBlanc, tosses down the ignite, and that's enough to get the kill. Really, really slickly done there. Probably Mythradorri's best kill of the whole match, just because it looked so slick there. Anyway, so with that, Blue Team is now firmly in control of this game. They have both dragons. They have, about an 8,000 gold lead. They're up 5-2 in turrets. And even though this game hasn't been perfectly clean, they're pretty clearly in control of the game right now. And yeah, they just picked up a 6th turret. They actually, their minions, well, Darius and their minions picked up this base turret here. It probably was worthwhile to die there. I mean, he went 1 for 1 and he picked up the turret. So even if he gave away a bounty in the process, that was probably still worth it to get this tower and open up the red inhibitor. Anyway, so let's talk just briefly about what Mythradorri's gone for in terms of his item build, since I was referencing that before. So he started with the Doran's Ring, then he went for Ludens, which, as I mentioned, is just kind of like default good laning item for any AP caster. Ability power, mana, cast a cooldown reduction, pretty much gives you everything you'd want, and you also get the extra wave clear by, with like that bounce thing. After you've moved, you get the extra wave clear from the bounce. Then he went into Lichbane, which is not an item you see that often, but it does kind of work well with the the Spell Thief on Zoe when she picks up those spell shards, and then has those extra missiles that she can toss at her targets. Basically, this is an upgraded version of Sheen. For anyone who's seen that, it causes you to do bonus attack damage after casting an ability. So it works well with her passive, and it works pretty well with her W as well. And right now, you see Diana chases down 2 kills up there in top lane, well, in the red side jungle of red team. And now with a 5-on-3 and a minion wave pushing, there's not a whole lot that the red team can do. They're pretty much at the mercy of the blue team. They can go for this tower mid and get the inhibitor. They could look to back and take Baron. That's also on the table for them. Really, they can do just about anything that they want right now. And the only thing that red team can do is just hope that they catch them out in a mistake of some kind. Jin hits the long-range route there, but it's not going to be enough. Lucian is going to escape. And it looks like they're going to take the mid inhibitor, which is a good play. Always a good choice. At this point, I think the play is to take the red inhibitor and then back. But unfortunately, blue team decides to do 3 different things at once. Diana goes back to get a minion wave. Darius goes up to get the inhibitor and then has to back. And meanwhile, Jin comes down here to try and take the Infernal Drake. So they've split up. They're doing 3 different things at once. And that's going to cause Zyra to get engaged on. Zac uses the ult, pulls Zyra back into the middle of the team. So that's a mistake. And now Zoe is going to get engaged on as well. Flashes, you can see the extra movement speed from the Spell Thief right there. Going to allow Mythradorri to run out of here a little bit more clearly, but he's still sticking around a little bit too long. LeBlanc is going to hit that root right there, and then Yasuo hits a tornado, and that's a shutdown. And that's probably his worst play of the match. Like, if I'm being honest and I'm calling him out for his good plays, I also need to say, hey, that was probably a mistake. Down here, Diana is taking the Infernal Drake, and largely that was all just set up because the blue team just wasn't coordinated right there. Once they took this inhib, the smart play was probably just to back and grab the Infernal Drake, or all 5 together rush this inhibitor and then back after that. But they split up, they did 3 different things at once, and that opened up an opportunity for the red team, who is still very far behind, let's be clear, especially with that double Infernal sitting on the blue team. But, you know, mistakes can get you back in the game. One thing that red team probably should have done was look to just go and force Baron after they scored those kills. It would have been low odds to take Baron with this little Santa hat on, very cute. Low odds, honestly, I think there would be a really high chance of that play backfiring, but look, they're really far behind in this game. It would have been worthwhile to risk a Baron fight when they had like a 5v3, a 5v2 advantage. Instead, now the blue team has revived, and now they are looking to do Baron, which, by the way, is still not safe. They didn't have, red team has no vision in here, so Zach's going to go in, look to try and get the steal. Yasuo's going to jump in as well, but unfortunately, the Zac player just went in a little bit too early, so he's not going to be able to get the kill. It is going to be claimed by Diana, as she picks up a kill on Lucian as well. And now Lux is running for her life. She is going to get rooted. A nice flash, by the way, to get out of that. Nice defensive flash. And then a nice, oh wow, a flash over the binding. That's pretty sick right there. And then another kill going to be scored on Lux. So I thought Lux played that pretty well, but flashing over the light binding, really nice stuff. LeBlanc is the only one who slips out of that. So 4 for 0 and Baron. Yeah, that's pretty much game over right there. I don't even know why they're bothering to hit this inhibitor. They really could just walk up and hit the Nexus turrets, and that's going to be the end of this one. There's nothing that LeBlanc can do. Those Nexus turrets are going to melt like butter. I don't know why LeBlanc even bothers suiciding. I guess she's just doing her best, but gives away a death there, and that's the game. So in a little over 25 minutes, blue team's going to wrap this one up, and it finishes in a victory with Mythradorri putting up a 6-2-6 scoreline there on Zoe. So, quick question before I open up the gold totals. Who was the MVP of this match? If you are paying closely, it should have been clear that it was Diana, who has 14,000 gold and is way out in front of everyone else, not just on the blue team, but in the entire game. Actually, almost 6,000 gold ahead of the Zac player. So yeah, not just the kills, not just the 13-2-3 scoreline, which is impressive, but 211 minion kills as well. Just cleaning up farm left and right. That was a spectacular jungle Diana game. And if I wasn't trying to show off the Zoe gameplay, probably could have done the video about Diana and highlighting all her abilities as well. But anyway, once again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for sending this video, Mythradorri. A very nice Zoe game. Got a chance to show off some of her gameplay, and thanks again for sending it. So until next time, hope you guys are having a great week. Take care. See you guys soon.